Movie run opens inside a dimly lit hospital room. A woman named Diane Sherman lies on a hospital bed, breathing heavily after giving birth prematurely. Doctors and nurses rush around, examining her fragile newborn daughter, who lies motionless in an incubator, surrounded by machines and tubes. The doctor lists the baby's complications: arrhythmia, hemochromatosis, asthma, diabetes, and paralysis in her legs. The infant's condition looks grave. Diane stares at her baby with a mix of fear, heartbreak, and determination. 17 years later, Diane lives in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Pasco, Washington, with her teenage daughter, Chloe Sherman. Their house is neat and filled with medical devices, ramps, and tools designed to accommodate Chloe's condition. Chloe, now 17, uses a wheelchair and takes multiple medications daily for her various illnesses. Despite her health issues, Chloe is intelligent, resourceful, and optimistic. She is homeschooled by Diane and spends her free time tinkering with electronics and building small machines. She dreams of going to college, particularly the University of Washington, to study computer science and finally live more independently. Every day she waits eagerly for the mail, hoping to receive her college admission letters. Diane tells her not to worry, saying that good news always comes when you're ready. But as time passes, Chloe notices that she never receives any letters, and her mother always checks the mail before she can. Diane appears to be a loving, protective single mother. She cooks Chloe's meals, gives her medicine, and helps her through every daily routine. But beneath her calm and caring surface, something feels off. A controlling undertone in the way she watches Chloe's every move and manages every aspect of her life. One morning, while looking for chocolate in a grocery bag, Chloe finds a prescription bottle of green pills labeled trigoxin, but the bottle has Diane's name on it. Later, when she inspects the same bottle again, she notices that a label bearing her own name has been pasted over the original. Suspicious, Chloe decides to investigate. That night, she tries to research trigoxin on her computer, but the browser won't connect. The internet is disabled. Diane told her that there's no Wi-Fi in the house, but Chloe starts to suspect that her mother might be lying. She doesn't know Diane is watching her from behind, quietly observing her curiosity. The next day, while Diane is outside gardening, Chloe sneaks into her mother's bedroom and uses the landline phone to investigate the strange green pills. Even after trying hard, she finds no options. Running out of options, Chloe starts dialing random numbers, hoping to reach anyone who can help her look up the medication. Finally, a kind stranger answers and agrees to check online. He tells her that trigoxin is a heart medication that comes in small red pills, not green ones. Chloe hangs up, confused and increasingly uneasy, sensing that something is terribly wrong. Chloe asks to be taken out for a movies, trying to appear normal. While watching the movie, Chloe excuses herself to use the restroom, but instead rushes across the street to a pharmacy. She asks the pharmacist to identify her green pills. The pharmacist tells her that the pill is named Ridocaine, and it isn't for humans. It's a muscle relaxant used only for dogs. If a person takes it, it can cause numbness or paralysis in the legs. Chloe is horrified. She begins to hyperventilate, realizing that her paralysis may not be due to illness, but because her mother has been drugging her. Suddenly, Diane appears, and Chloe starts to lose her breath. Diana panics everyone around her, and before Chloe can resist, Diane sedates her with a syringe and wheels her away. When Chloe wakes up, she's back in her bed at home. Her bedroom door is locked from the outside. She calls for her mother, but there's no answer. She's trapped. Panicked, she looks around for a way out. Using all her abilities, she opens the window latch of her room, climbs out, and crawls onto the roof, struggling with every movement. She spots the window that leads to her mother's bedroom and smashes the glass with a soldering iron and water that she had in her mouth. As she squeezes through the opening, she starts to have a severe asthma attack. Desperate for her inhaler, she crawls back toward her own room and barely manages to use it in time. Once she catches her breath, Chloe wheels herself toward the staircase, planning to escape. But when she activates her motorized ramp, it doesn't move. Diane has cut the power cord. Chloe has no choice but to push her wheelchair down the stairs. It crashes at the bottom, and she falls, injuring herself. But in that painful moment, She notices something incredible. Her toes move. She realizes she's regaining sensation because she hasn't taken the pills for a while. Outside, down the road, Chloe spots a mail truck. She drags herself out and flags it down. The mailman, Tom, recognizes her from previous deliveries. Chloe, breathless and desperate, tells him that her mother is poisoning her and keeping her in prison. Tom believes her and helps her. But before they can leave, Diane pulls up in her car. She pretends to be calm and friendly, insisting to Tom that Chloe is sick and confused. Tom becomes suspicious and tells Diane to stay back. He promises to take Chloe to the police station himself. As he turns to close the van door, Diane suddenly stabs him in the neck with a syringe, injecting him with a sedative. Tom collapses instantly. Chloe screams as Diane catches her breath. Then she takes Chloe back. Chloe wakes up in the basement of their house. Her wheelchair is chained to a metal pole. The basement is filled with dusty boxes, old photographs, and hidden memories. As she looks around, Chloe finds a set of old childhood photos showing her walking on two legs, proof that she wasn't always paralyzed. Then she finds something even more disturbing. A death certificate for a baby named Chloe Sherman, who died 2 hours and 11 minutes after her birth. Next to it, an old newspaper clipping describes a couple whose newborn baby was stolen from the same hospital on that very night. The horrifying truth dawns on her. Diane kidnapped her from the hospital after her own baby died. Chloe was never Diane's biological daughter. Diane stole her, fabricated her illnesses, and kept her drugged and dependent all her life. When Diane enters, Chloe confronts her, demanding the truth. Diane insists that she saved her, that no one else could love her the way she does. She justifies her actions as protection, claiming the world would only hurt her. Then Diane takes out a syringe filled with a homemade neurotoxin, saying it will make her forget everything. Terrified, Chloe crawls away and locks herself in a closet. With no other escape, she grabs a bottle of organophosphate, a chemical poison, and drinks it. She tells Diane that if she dies, Diane will lose everything. Horrified, Diane rushes Chloe to the hospital. Chloe wakes up later in a hospital bed, hooked to tubes and machines. She's weak but alive. Doctors and nurses monitor her closely. Diane pretends to be the concerned mother once again, but this time, doctors refuse to let her take Chloe home, calling for a mental health evaluation after learning about Chloe's suicide attempt. When the nurse leaves, Chloe signals for a crayon and paper. The nurse gives it to her so she can communicate. Chloe starts to write something down, but before she finishes, a code blue alarm sounds in the hallway. The nurse rushes away, leaving Chloe unattended. Moments later, Diane sneaks into the room in disguise, carrying a handgun. She quietly unhooks Chloe from the machines, straps her to a wheelchair, and begins pushing her out of the room. The nurse returns moments later to find the bed empty. On the bed, she sees Chloe's note. It reads just one word, M-O-M. Realizing what's happened, the nurse calls hospital security. Meanwhile, Diane pushes Chloe through the corridors, searching for an exit. Chloe struggles and manages to move her leg, stopping the wheelchair's movement. Diane tells her, "You don't need to walk. You don't need anyone but me." Chloe replies through tears, "I don't need you, Mom." Security guards appear, surrounding them at the stairwell. Diane raises her gun, screaming, "We're going home!" A guard fires, hitting Diane in the arm. She falls backward and tumbles down the stairs, her body crashing violently to the bottom. Chloe watches, trembling and silent. 7 years later, time has passed. The story comes full circle. Now in her 20s, Chloe lives a free and independent life. She still uses a wheelchair, but can walk short distances with a cane. She is married to a man named Era, has a daughter named Annie, and works as a prosthetist, helping others gain mobility and freedom, something she once fought so hard for herself. One afternoon, Chloe visits a correctional facility. Inside the prison infirmary, lying weak and confined to a bed, is Diane Sherman. Her once commanding voice is gone, her body is frail, and her health has deteriorated. Chloe sits beside her, calm and composed. She tells Diane about her life, her husband, her daughter, her career, and mentions that Annie has a favorite grandparent, subtly implying that she has reunited with her real birth parents. As Diane listens silently, tears form in her eyes. She tries to speak, but her voice is weak. Chloe then opens her hand and reveals 3 green lidocaine pills, the same ones Diane once used to keep her paralyzed. She smiles coldly and says, "I love you, Mom." Now open wide.